What's up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. It's NBA Talk with J Money and the Shark, live every single day, 11/8 Eastern, guys. If you didn't know, this is the new time, man. Obviously doing shows at 1 p.m. Eastern as well, but this is the best show. Shaq and Kobe here. Doesn't matter who's Shaq, doesn't matter who's Kobe. What's up with you, Shark? Everything cool with you, my guy?
Absolutely taking a breath. Beautiful Wednesday morning here on the East Coast. Winning Wednesday it is. Shouting out Shaq and Kobe. Kobe up in the sky somewhere, giving us all the good vibes as we try to give you guys the good vibes on a beautiful, beautiful slate. 10-game slate, 9 games between conference opponents. A lot of stuff going on here. Jay Money, lead the way, and let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it, my guys. We're not here to waste your time. It's all business here. Let's go straight to the streets of Cleveland here. We got the Cavaliers laying 8.5 points at home. Man, we talked about this total last night. It was sitting at 218.5. It's come cratering down to 214.5. It looks like the people that bet totals professionally have steamed this one down. I agree with it as well. The Magic are a perfect type of under team. They really struggle to score. They give a lot of energy on defense, have a lot of tall guys packing the paint, kind of emulating that Cavs team over there at Shark. How you liking this game, my brother?
It's a tough game. A lot of angles going on here. The number is on Orlando. We've been suggesting this for a period of time now. Orlando is going to be on the number more often than not on the road. You go back to the last couple of games, of course, a non-cover at the Knicks. And, of course, we talked about the Knicks last night off the record. The Knicks are taking on Knicks status already. Hard to figure out. Of course, the new roster, Jalen Brunson, these guys just shooting lights out of the gym, 115-102 in the last ball game for the Magic. But you look at Cleveland here. Cleveland's in a bit of a funky spot. Cleveland has a look ahead. They have a Boston game next on the road. This game does not qualify as a highly inspiring matchup. You go back to last year. I did have 2 of these outcomes correct. I had the first 2 correct. Back when Cleveland was still kind of a nobody last year and people didn't really believe in them, ATS, Cleveland laid out 10 points to Orlando. And people said, wow, how are you going to lay 10 points with Orlando? Well, I did it. And they won and covered 105-92. Came back in the same gym, short 8.5, did not cover 107-101. So the line functionality did tell you a good story. The third matchup was a complete outlier in Orlando. Both teams shot lights out. Orlando scored 120 points. Cleveland was laying 8 on the road and did lose the game outright, 120-115. They come home, it's 8, it's short, it's sharp. The number is on Orlando. I would suspect this game's going to be tight down the stretch on this number, Jay.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we know the Cavs are still without Garland, so it's Mitchell and the rest of the guys. They're coming off a couple of big wins. The Magic don't have a win so far in the season. So in theory, the more motivated team would be the Magic coming here and get a win, and they're catching points as well. You get a little bit of maybe a look-ahead spot for the Cavs as well. Much bigger game versus the Celtics to try to show your quality in that game, my guys. So it's a tough one for me. I'm not laying the points. Maybe would lean towards the Magic. I feel like that under was really the spot last night. Obviously, lost 4 points of value. It's not saying you still can't get there, but you definitely lost the best of the line in that one, my guys. So definitely a tough game. My main lean on that one would have been an under at 218. Let's go over here to the streets of Detroit here. We got the Pistons getting 7 points at the house versus the Hawks. First game of a home and home. You do find the Pistons here on a road home back-to-back here, Shark. Not 3rd and 4, but they do roll home back-to-back. Could possibly see maybe the Hawks smacking them up in this one, then let down in the next game with a bigger game on deck. That's how I see it, Shark. What we doing here?
Well, on a suddenly not so casual winning Wednesday, October 26, 2022, the buy hat is engaged. The first of the season here with Atlanta, and we love this print with emphasis. 1 unit play -7, 7.5 coming in now. In some books, mostly at 7. A lot going on here. This board is tough today. There's a lot of angles. This is the best box checking ATS spot for me. You get a lot going on here, and the first thing you do get is you get sustained line functionality, which is telling us a great story. Go back to the beginning of last year. It was October 25th, 2021. Atlanta did hammer a very young, inconsistent early season Detroit team, 122-104 at home on an 11.5. It came back way later in the year. The scheduling was fairly abstract here. They didn't play again until March 7th. And I think everybody knows what was going on in March with Detroit. Detroit had flipped a switch competitively, and they were an absolute ATS juggernaut. And unsurprisingly, Detroit did cover and beat Atlanta outright, 113-110 in their home gym. We had that correctly on that March 7th day. Came back again March 21st, got even shorter for Atlanta, Atlanta -5. We had Detroit again there, and Detroit did hammer them this time, 122-101. Now you get a double revenge game for Atlanta. You get Detroit coming home off a trip. You get Detroit in a road home back-to-back environment. You get Detroit in a fatigue spot. You get Atlanta's first road game of the year. And you get an environment where you're looking at Detroit, who is 1-0 ATS at home. They covered by a hook against Orlando. I think this is an environmental shift. I think they're going to function relatively well against absolute bottom feeders like that. This is not. This is a turned-up Atlanta team, a pissed-off Atlanta team, and a line number. When you lay 5 on the road and you lose outright, and the very next game in the same gym comes up to 7, it's telling you a numerical story. We're on 1 unit, -7 official.
That's a good point, my guy. Man, it was just funny. My guy Parker in the chat said Trae Young would average 30, 15, and 10 if he just shaved his head. That's some funny shit right there, man. Trae Young already looking like a baby LeBron going ball, but yeah, the guy can ball. In theory, should. You know what, Char? I think there could be something here, and my guy Chris be capping and Ronald, my SDQL guys here. It's not something I look at, but I just kind of keep it all in my head. I think there's some real merit, some real substance to taking teams coming off a game where they were the double-digit favorite, Shark, in their next game, right? They were laying double digits. They lost the game outright. I think there's something to us taking the team off of a loss like that, and on taking on the flip side as well, fade a team that's coming off a double-digit underdog win as well. Like, say if they were getting 9 to 10 points or more and won the game outright, I think they'll be going to be a fade in the next game. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. I know it makes perfect sense, but also have to see if the data lines up with it as well. I know that Chris texted me this morning and says that usually teams they have like a +7 gap in the first half. So he's hopping on the Hawks here in the first half. He's basically saying that when they lose outright as a double-digit favorite, they come back in the first half, juice up. I could see it. Hawks come in here early and often, my guys. Just the way I see it going, Hawks come in here, smash this one. The next game, they'll have a day off in Detroit, then play them again. But then it'll be the first of a back-to-back versus the Bucks. That's when we take the Pistons, and they'll probably win that game. The Hawks will definitely look past them, looking ahead to the Bucks, man. I fucking love it, man. This is when we get to the spot, Shark. What are we doing here, man? But let's go over here to the streets of New York here, my guys. We got the Knicks laying 7.5 points at the house versus the Hornets here, my guy.
Oh, man, I hate this game. We were talking about it last night. Jay Money hit me up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. I was still up capping. We were doing our homework there overnight. And he said, so why don't you like the Knicks? And, truthfully, sometimes I look in the mirror and I say to myself, do I have bias against the Knicks? I'm a Knicks fan. I was born in Manhattan. I'm a New Yorker at heart. And the Knicks have done me dirty as a fan for 25 years. I mean, this franchise is so unbelievably poorly run. I mean, we could go down the list of poor draft picks, poor personnel moves, poor coaching hires. So I'm very scarred. So maybe when it comes to handicapping the Knicks, I just don't see it clearly because of my fandom bias. But if you look at the numbers, this is just complete chaos. You go back to last year, we had 4 matchups against Charlotte. We actually did win a wager with the Knicks, believe it or not, in the first game. I had the Knicks to come into Charlotte in the first matchup last year and come out hot in the first quarter, first half. They did, but just like the Knicks oftentimes do, they don't have 48 minutes in them, and they did melt the game and lost outright 104-96. Came back again. I believe it was a matinee. I think, Jay, you might have had Charlotte that day. 97-87 Charlotte in Madison Square Garden. Then all of a sudden, the line inflates to Charlotte at a strong -8.5. So line functionality suggests, okay, Charlotte owns them. They're going to blow them out. No, Knicks 121-106 outright win at +8.5. And then the final matchup, again, Charlotte in New York, -2.5, a short figure. Should have been a Knicks line. Charlotte covers the short figure, 125-114. Overs, unders, all over the place. Jay, I got nothing on this game.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that we want to hop on the Knicks here first quarter, first half once again, guys. It's not something I'm taking yet, but just talking out the game, just look at this game. You got to find – you don't have to, but I think this is a Knicks type of game. I think this is a Knicks type of spot as well, especially like I say, didn't they lose 3 or 4 to the Hornets last year? that you're saying, Shark. So regardless, this is a different team. You don't have Kemba Walker out there, you know what I'm saying, this year trying to show himself to Tibbs, my guy. He's not playing a lick of defense and trying to shoot the ball every time that every chance you get. This is something with basketball psychology, guys. When you find a team that's playing their third straight home game, look what the Warriors did versus the Kings. They put up 50 points in the second quarter. You get hot when you're playing in the same gym at the house. Some tells me that the Knicks come out here hot in the first quarter and first half and really build the lead here. Like I say, Shark, it makes perfect sense. Third straight home game, you're shooting in the same gyms, practicing on the same goals. You're going to get hot. When you go on the road, that's when you likely have a bad shooting game. But as long as you're on a home stand, you're only getting more hot as it goes on shooting wise in your same arena. I think the Knicks are going to come out here and clean them up in the first quarter and first half, my guys. It's not some I take, but like I say, it's just a look on this game. If you like it, I think that should. I think that's the spot there. I might add that one officially, guys. I like this shit, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Toronto here, Shark. You do get the Raptors. This line is going up to 2 now. Sixers laying 2 now on the road. You do find a playoff revenge spot for the Raptors. Got kicked out versus the 76ers last year. Sixers not really catching their win just yet, Shark. I hadn't made a play on the game, but it would be Raptors or nothing for me. You definitely need to know about Scotty Barnes in this one.
Yeah, this is a tough game. And, we had just discussed Toronto obviously playing Miami in a sequence of games and suggested how tight Toronto was against Miami. You have to throw out playoff environments when you cap regular season basketball. The motivation absolutely applies, but the line functionality does not. So you have to go back to the regular season last year. There were 4 matchups, and the win margin in these games was 6, 5, 5, and 5. It doesn't get any more consistent than that. And it is very, very similar to, again, how Toronto played Miami, to a very normalized, continuous mean over numerous matchups in the regular season. You do find one interesting trend coming in here. Philadelphia was favored in all 4 of those matchups last year, and they went 0-4 ATS. So from a pure numerical statistical dispersion point, Philadelphia should improve in the ATS environment versus Toronto in a regular season. But as Jay mentioned, Toronto has huge playoff revenge incentive, and the line is short. The last time these teams played in the regular season, Philadelphia did lose in Toronto on a -3.5, 119-114, and they're moving the line in a continued direction towards Toronto. Lines on Toronto, playoff revenge Toronto. The only counterpoint here is Philadelphia has been lackluster to start the year. They should be coming up sustainably, and they were 0-4 ATS in the regular season last year against Toronto.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point there, man. So it's a tough game for me. We know that Philly is better than what they've shown. I still think that it's coaching right now. It's X and O's that's really holding them back. Excuse me. Harden is in someone like the Rockets type of Harden form. He is playing well. Embiid hadn't caught his form yet. And I remember LeBron saying a while ago, it kind of takes some of these players, takes them like 10 or 15 games to really get in shape. We know Embiid, somewhat kind of a lazy type of player. He doesn't look in shape right now. They have more offense over the Raptors, but the Raptors definitely have the defense advantage here. They're at the house as well. I could see them turning up, getting some playoff revenge here. It's a tough game. Could see it going either way. It's obviously this will be, can the Sixers get hot from 3? If not, then the Raptors will definitely be able to get this one done, my guys. Tough game with slightly lean to the Raptors. Could see an under type of game as well. Now let's go over here to the streets of Minnesota, my guys. There's been all type of chatter, chit chat in the background. You see what I'm saying about the Timberwolves, about Popeye's chicken, all this type of stuff. We're taking the Timberwolves here. First quarter, first half. First quarter -3/3.5. I like it. I like it up to 5. I think they come out here and smash this first quarter, win by double digits, and don't look back in the game. I want to take a trifecta spot here, guys. I want to, but I know the stats set up for this as well. This cash is at over a 70% clip over the last 3 years, my guys. You take these home and home teams, the team that lost the game first off, especially when it's the favorite, they really come out and juice up in the first quarter and first half of the next game. We're taking Timberwolves official play. First quarter -3.5, first half -5.5. Let's go to Smack City one time for the one time, Shark.
Yeah, and I'm not officially on this game yet. As we were looking at the line last night, we were talking about how the game is a little short. The line will tell you a story in these matchups, as you mentioned, back-to-back games between the same teams in the same gym. Obviously, COVID, travel, this, and that. I'm not entirely sure why they're still doing it. Maybe it's just a new thing. They're trying to mirror baseball. Who knows? But baseball's not entertaining. I don't know why they would do that. But when you look at what's going on here, the first quarter is definitely the top environment in this game. You go back to the previous 4 games, the Wolves were 3-0 ATS in the first quarter. 3 absolute blowouts, in fact, against Oklahoma City, Utah, and Oklahoma City again. They did come home in the previous game where, of course, we faded them correctly. San Antonio did win the game outright at +10, and San Antonio came out and just hammered them from the opening tip. Minnesota had no legs and defensive prowess the other night. So you're going to get the revenge game. You're going to get the motivation spot, and you're going to get where they come out focused and ready to dominate. When you go back to the playoffs last year, I think if you really look at that Memphis series, you can see within that series specifically when Minnesota wants to ball and they're pissed off in their home gym, just how consistently energized they come out in the first quarter. First quarter for me is the top play. I'm not officially on it right now. I might go official this afternoon, however.
I'm on it, my guys. You can still get threes out there. There's a few threes out there starting to get juice, but obviously 3 is at 1 bucket. That's probably one of the best first quarter lines you can get, 3 or less. But in this particular spot, especially with them outscoring, look, this is some interesting stuff, guys. When you look at the fact that they still had their starters into the fourth quarter of the game on a back-to-back, and they outscored them 35-12, it tells you that they're trying to find something. They're trying to find what figures out for the next game. I think they figured out something. They got to obviously win with defense, and you got to push the pace versus this Spurs team. They won't. I think Devin Vassell is doubtful in this game. That could be huge, obviously, because this team has a lot of young guards that they're trying to develop. They're in the younger stage of develops. They've won 3 straight games. You have the underdog here, won outright as 9-point underdogs. I don't think it translates to this game. I think the Spurs know they're getting smacked. This is the 4th straight road game, even though it's a home and home in Minnesota. Still 4th straight game in a away gym before they head back to the house. This is usually a face spot in the NBA as well. Last game of a road trip. Team is ready to get to the house, man. Give me the Timberwolves first quarter, first half. Would not talk you off full game as well, my guys. Could be a trifecta smack city spot. Oh, howling with the Wolves tonight, my guys. Next game up, we're going to the streets of Milwaukee here, Shark. We got the Milwaukee Bucks laying 3.5 points versus the Brooklyn Nets, my guy.
Tough stuff here. I think both teams are a bit of a tough read. Of course, Milwaukee does come in here only with 2 games on the campaign, an outright win against Philadelphia and a blowout win against Houston in their last ball game. This is interesting. This is the first of 5 straight home games against the Eastern Conference. It is their first home game against the East this year. It's going to be an environmental shift. And you look back at last year, you find a similar environment as you found in the Philadelphia-Toronto game. I had suggested Philadelphia 0-4 ATS as a favorite last year, should come up from a statistical manner. In this matchup last year, the favorite is 0-3, last 3 ATS. Brooklyn is 0-2, last 2 as a favorite. I think this suggests upward movement for Brooklyn, if I had to make a comment here. The line is on Milwaukee, but the line has not really told us a continued story here. Line functionality is not very clear in this matchup. What I'm really looking at here is the Brooklyn revenge angle off, not only that, but off of a really pathetic effort at Memphis. And I think that what you're looking at here is just Brooklyn coming up in the environment. This game for me is going to be really tough, though. And I think that's symptomatic to these games between these top Eastern teams. Sharp lines, sharp competitive environments. And really, a lot of times it's going to come down to 1 or 2 buckets, which was the case in the most recent outcome. Brooklyn was -2 at home and did lose the game outright by 1 point. So this is tough stuff. And, we talk about this all the time. Books make a lot of money in these national games because people want to watch the game and bet the game they're watching.
Thanks.
Those are oftentimes the hardest games to cap. And truthfully, I think this is probably 1 or 2 of the top hardest games to cap on this card tonight.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point about those national TV games, man. We saw it last night. The public got absolutely smashed, man. I've had those days, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sure some people are waking up, scratching their heads, obviously about that Mavs game. Total letdown. I don't care what anybody says, man. You wonder if some conversations are had in these games, man. I'm sorry. The Mavs came back and took the lead, and then they just didn't care anymore. They just gave it up. Luka passing the ball the last seconds. They didn't care, man, to win that game. So it's super fishy stuff, if you ask me. And then you saw the Warriors get absolutely smoked by them, their 30 points as well. Those were two of the public sides. I hate playing national TV games. This isn't a national TV game, but usually if it's a play that's going against the grain, I guess I don't mind. If you guys listen closely, a couple of days ago, I kind of foresaw this when I wanted the Nets to lose versus the Grizzlies. Came out and played a representative game, really good offensive game. They played terribly defensively. Don't put too much on them, guys. The Grizzlies coming off a 41-point loss. You see what I'm saying? The Grizzlies are supposed to come out there, turn up, score 134 points. I like the Nets here in a bounce back spot. They're on the road, which seems like a better situation. Seems like the Nets play a little bit better on the road here, my guys. So if this game was in Brooklyn, I might not be touching the Nets. You get the Bucks here, the public side, over 73% of the tickets coming in on them. Yet the line has moved down from 4 to 3.5. I actually think that the Nets win this game, my guys. I took the +4. We talked about it last night. I like it at +3.5. I sprinkled on +155 last night, guys. I see this. I see the match. I think I actually like this matchup for the Nets here with Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons. Something I saw earlier this year that Ben Simmons can actually guard. He seemed to stifle Giannis a little bit, man. So we'll see if they can continue today. You're not shutting down Giannis, but if you can kind of contain him and make the rest of the team beat you, I think that's the recipe for success today. KD is cooking. Kyrie is cooking. Just need Simmons to come in here and play defense versus Giannis. I'll go official with +3.5, my guys. Nets +3.5. Let's go over here to the streets of Chicago, Shark. We got the Bulls land 7.5 points versus the Indiana Pacers here, total of 234, my guy.
Tough game here, divisional rivalry. Not much going on. Last year, you had a bit of line functionality in the beginning. First matchup last year, I had the side correctly. At that point in time, I took Indiana +1.5 on the road, and people called me clinically insane because Indiana had looked so abysmal through the first 10 to 12 games last year. But what do you know? Indiana did catch Chicago there on a 3rd and 4 back-to-back and blew them out, 109-77. And then in the same gym, the United Center, Chicago came up off a loss at 1.5 to 4.5, which was a great line for Chicago. And they did cover and win outright 113-105. They went on the road. It held at 3, which was strong. They did not cover 108-106. It was very sharp. Final matchup of the year, Chicago at Indiana -1. It was short, and they covered 122-115. Not a lot of line functionality. And you look at the last two matchups, it got really sharp. I think this is going to be sharp. The line is on Chicago. Free play Chicago here, but this is just going to be really sharp and disastrous to cap, really.
Disastrous. I don't think Shark has ever said that on the show here, man. Yeah, this is a tough game, man. The Pacers, I like Halliburton. I like Benedict Mathurin. Chris Duarte has taken a huge step back. He's not the guy that he was last year, my guy. So it's a tough game, man. Outside of Mathurin and Halliburton, I did hear they might get Miles Turner back. That could be huge because without Turner, obviously their defense is they have a huge hole in the middle and it's easy baskets every time around. No real look ahead for the Bulls here. So why can't they smash this Pacers team today? This Pacers team is a doormat, guys. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. I mean, I know that we have a lot of fans that watch the show, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing personal against your team. It's just capping wise here. If the Pacers are a team that if you're in need of a win, you can get it in a big way versus the Pacers, man. They don't play a lick of defense. All they want to do is score the ball, my guys. So it's lean, but I'm not betting this game, man. Let's go over to the streets of Utah here, Char. Disastrous. This is a disastrous game, but Jazz laying 7 points here, Char. You always talk about environmental shift. Now the Jazz are laying points. They're not getting that the underdog price. Now you're asking them to win by close to double digits. You do get that home revenge spot. In theory, they did lose outright versus the Rockets, which you called correctly. Now this line's coming up for the Jazz. Do you think they continue to smoke some guys here, now laying the favorite?
This is where it gets tough because, again, you like the line for the Jazz, and it's getting steam, too. It was at 5.5 last night. Now it's at 7. I don't know who's pounding the Jazz here, but it's certainly not me. We talked about this going back last year, the year before, and numerous seasons past. Line functionality is a great, great model. It's the top angle within figuring out Vegas algorithms. However, sometimes there's just a new average and it gets reset. And we said it about Detroit. Detroit was covering as an underdog for, 6 to 8 weeks. And then all of a sudden they become a favorite. They can't cover. And I think this is going to be that environment. I think that they're overvaluing the Jazz recent history here. Mm-hmm. I think this is just going to be – I think it's going to be a sharp line, number one. But I think that the lean actually would come to Houston here. I don't think the Jazz are going to function very well at a -7. I was looking at the total in this game. I do think you're going to see more points here tonight. The previous one, obviously, slightly lower. That came out with a very lackluster first quarter. Utah was in a fatigue spot, 3rd and 4 back-to-back situation. Houston really does not defend. Obviously, an incredibly young roster. They like to pace. They shoot reasonably well. And this line coming up to 233.5, it's coming down now. I'm not entirely sure how much the steam really matters. I mean, you saw it last night. The Dallas-New Orleans game got steamed all the way down to an under, and it went over anyway. The steam is sort of whatever. That's why I was talking about numbers and narratives standing way above market movement. What's
the
up?
The early line, it did go under, though. That 225.5, the early line, the Mavs game did go under. I just want to say that.
Yeah, it did by a bucket, right? Yeah, a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always saying the steam line.
I know. I dig what you're saying.
Yeah, and I do think that's an interesting point because usually that's sharp steam, and a lot of people will look at the market and say, "Oh, wow, the sharps are on this. Let me get on there." And again, it's very important to really look at what's going on in the matchup more so than the market, because in this matchup, again, you are getting basically a Jazz team that likes to run and gun, a bunch of guards, as we've discussed numerous times, and a Rockets team that doesn't play defense on the road. You saw what Milwaukee did to them on the road. They just fucking hammered them just right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And this line is coming up. I mean, this is definitely going to be a track meet spot here. Free play, I'm going over, but of course, that is not an official play. I need to clarify that for some people, apparently.
Man, yeah, I like the Jazz. I watched this game closely. I want the Jazz to look well here. It's tough because they come home here for one game. I agree, Shark. I know that the Jazz are looking nice as well, but now they're laying 7 points. Now you're asking them to win by margin. They're not coming in as that underdog role. Let's prove the world. Now you're asked to being able to win by a certain amount for you to get the money. I don't like the situation. 3 straight road games. Then you come home here for one home game. Then you head back on the road. I'd like the Jazz to look really good here. I'll tell you that. Obviously, you got a revenge spot with the Nuggets coming up on deck, but I'll watch this game closely. Possibly looking towards fading the Jazz in the next game. I hope they win tonight by 20 points, my guys. Possibly looking to fade them in the next one, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Portland, Shark. We got the Blazers getting 2 points. This line was at 1.5. Opened up, I believe, at like 1.5 for the Blazers. Came down to 1. Now it's woke up this morning. Heat land 2 on the road here, Shark. Total has come down from 222 to 219.5. You like anything here?
Yeah, we're on a total. I'm over 221.5. Of course, you see 219.5. Now, again, we just discussed sharp steam on a line. Disregard it. I mean, we're looking at a great over here, and there's a lot going on in this. I went through the matchup last year, and the first thing that really stood out to me was the line functionality within the over. Go back to last year. Miami did come into Portland, and the game did go over 115 to 109 out of 215.5. It came back to Miami later in the year, and it went under with significance, 104 to 92. And the line told you a story there. 215.5, you go over. Very next matchup, they move the line down to 210.5, and it goes way under. Now off of 210.5, they come in here at 221.5. And you have to really look at what's going on here. This is the first road game for Miami. It's also the first game against the Western Conference. It's a complete environmental shift. Miami started the season with 4 playoff-style Eastern Conference games at home against Chicago, Boston, and Toronto twice. Now they go on the road. They catch Portland, Chauncey Billups, Dame Dolla, and all these young guys. I made this comment a couple times, but it's very noteworthy. Damian Lillard is the only guy over 30 on this roster. Nurkic is 28, and they have a lot of young, gunning, shooting, fast-paced guys. And I think Miami, getting out on the West Coast, coming off a complete dud, 98 to 90, in which they only scored 90 points themselves, wants to get on the road and play a totally different style of ball. One final point here. If you go back through this matchup over the past 6 to 8 ball games, the last 4 games played between Miami and Portland in Portland, the average of those results is 219.5. You had a 224, a 224, a 226, and an outlier at 205. And I really think what you're looking at here as a final point, Portland is 0-2 versus the road over, and they're 2-0 versus the home over. This is going to pace up. It's an environmental shift. I think we're going to see 230 points here tonight, Jay.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. You make some damn good points on that total, man. You breaking them down real nice, man. I'm not a total better, so I just ride with you. Yeah, man. 800 people watching live. Hit the like button, man, if you can. It's tough because the Heat have came out very lackluster in the season. Started out only 1-3, where the Blazers come out a lot better than most people thought as well. They're started out 4-0 and 4-0 against the spread. Only thing I don't like here, it is in theory a spot where Miami needs to win. I don't like that this their first road game and they're literally traveling across the country. I mean, you can't get a worse travel spot, maybe from California to New York, but from Miami, the tip down there, all the way up here to Portland, Oregon. You see what I'm saying? This is a very late start time for the Heat. So this is something that no one looks at, guys. Nobody looks at shit like this. And I'm not saying that the Blazers are the right side, but I do think this helps the Blazers well. They do play better at the house. Heat's first road game, and then you're going all the way across the country playing a late night game. See what I'm saying? This game is going to end super late for the Heat on their body clock. No one looks at shit like this, but it's stuff that I look at. It's not the game that I'm on. I do think the Blazers have started out really hot as well. Not really sold on the bench, but not sold on the Heat's bench as well, my guys. So yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of scratching my head the fact that it's flipped that hard for the Heat, because I really see this being a toss-up type of game. But somebody out there thinking that the Heat really gonna bring it tonight, apparently. But Shark, does it make sense though? Them going from an Eastern time zone all the way to the West Coast, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely it does. And again, the line here is on Portland with significance. The last ball game was Miami -9 at home, and they won by 12. So this is moving with significance. And one thing that Jay and I were discussing off the record, which I do want to put on record here now, just a really loose conversation we were having the other day. And I was saying Damian Lillard reminds me right now of Kobe Bryant after he re-signed with the Lakers, after all the turmoil and speculation coming out of the 2006-07 window. You guys remember there was a parking lot clip of him trash talking Andrew Bynum, and then the Lakers organization said, all right, enough, got Pau Gasol, got a lot of pieces going there, and of course they turned back up. I think this is what you're seeing with Damian Lillard. I mean, most people thought he was out the door. The media was speculating that he didn't want to be there. It was actually the polar opposite. He wanted to be there. He's incredibly loyal, and he wants this team to be in a clear space. Now, again, he's the only guy over 30 on the roster. They are turned the hell up. I think they probably win this game tonight, and I think, again, it's going to be a paced-up spot. Another great point here. I just looked at the schedule. Miami has a national game tomorrow night at Golden State.
Oh, yeah. Look ahead, City.
Look ahead. Also, from the pace standpoint, Miami's not going to be breaking down Game 7 defense here tonight. This is going to be an open game as they conserve energy defensively for tomorrow night's ball game.
Yeah, and they found a win as well. The Blazers, I feel like, have found a win with Billups. I think that was my main question about the team. Can he coach the team? Can he rile these guys up? Can he get them ready? Maybe they were kind of just taking off last season, but that's a good point, bro. They're really motivated here to come in. When you have a terrible season, you're really motivated. They're the only 4-0 team in the league, sitting at the top of the Western Conference standings, my guys. So, with that, obviously, it'd be hard for Miami to look ahead, but they do got the champs on deck tomorrow. It's a tough game for me, guys. I don't really want to force a play either way on this one. I got 3 top spots on the board, maybe 4 to 5, to be honest with you. I might be adding the Knicks early, but the 3 spots I know for sure. But last game up, Shark, we got the spicy Nuggets here, laying 5.5 versus the Lakers. No Westbrook today, Shark. You think that no Westbrook will be good for the Lakers, or is this team just ass?
I don't know. I mean, we go from last year, we said the Family and Friends tour, Carmelo, Dwight Howard, Russell Westbrook. I mean, it was like the 2010 All-Star team. And it's just not translating to on-court quality here. And, we've questioned this numerous times. What is the motivation of LeBron James? He's in LA. He's doing movies. He's doing production. He has a production company with Maverick Carter, all his guys. I mean, he really is onto the Hollywood portion of his career and also waiting for his son, Bronny, to come in the league in 2 years. And the kid's obviously a hell of a stud prospect. But the more concerning thing for me here is not LeBron James. It's Anthony Davis. Because Anthony Davis is still in the prime of his career. He's only 29 years old. He wins a title in the bubble. And now it's like, is his career just like, is he just hanging out? Like, I just question his competitive makeup here, because if I'm 29 and I'm Anthony Davis, I wouldn't be content with being on this Lakers roster, just cruising out LeBron's back end of his career, the Hollywood tour. That would piss me off as a 29-year-old all-star player if I'm Anthony Davis. And the fact that he's not pissed off, that concerns me from his competitive makeup standpoint. And you go on the road here, you actually get a revenge game. The Lakers did beat Denver in the final matchup last year, 146-141 on the road. Just a ridiculous track meet game. Denver was laying 6 points in that matchup. So from a line functionality standpoint, when you're laying 6 in your home gym and you lose outright and books put the line right back to where it was, they're telling you that game was an anomaly and this should come back to Denver. However, this is not super strong. Oftentimes you will see a 6 loss not only come back to 6, but actually come up to say 6.5, 7, 7.5. That's the blowout line for Denver. I think this is going to be really tight. And again, the Lakers have been horrible, but I don't know. They have to win a game at some point. They do match up reasonably well situationally here with Denver. Denver is not good as a home favorite. And one final point, we say this about every single game. When you find a home team laying 6, that's that 3-bucket line. That is crazy, crazy sharp stuff. The 3-bucket line is just a run and hide type of line from a favorite perspective.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the Nuggets aren't playing championship defense right now as well, man. I'd encourage you guys to take a look in the chat, man. These guys are on one here. A lot of great info as well, man. My guys like in the Lakers over. My guy DeGen Woodworker here is throwing out some good info here with KCP as well. He got kind of shelled by the Lakers, got shipped off. He's going to want to show something here tonight. Maybe look at KCP threes over. That's a good look there. Who else? My guy Canary said Miami will win tonight, knowing that they need a win in the worst possible way, knowing that they're basically going to get smacked tomorrow as well. That's some good point. That's a good point as well. Obviously, Warriors coming off a 31-point loss. It's going to be tough for the Heat to win that game tomorrow. So that's a good look. Good look there, my guys. But yeah, as far as Anthony Davis, that's a good point. 29-0. I'm not sure what's up with this guy, man. Obviously, I feel like they've got a few rings. They're rich as hell. I just feel like this is one of the most complacent teams. LeBron started to really get frustrated as well. This team is not playing championship-style defense. Neither team is playing championship-style defense, man. I'm not betting this game. I could see it being addition by subtraction, Westbrook being out there, but I mean, the Nuggets are coming in here off a loss as well. They are a lot better coached. I'm just worried about this Lakers team, man, because there's going to come a time where it really starts to get in their head. And even if Westbrook is not out there, man, they know. I think LeBron knows that this team is not good. He's kind of just doing whatever out there, man. There's no real substance out there, no real serious basketball feel that I'm getting from the Lakers. I'm not saying that they can't get it done. They will cover some spreads. They will win some games. It's just a team that I'm staying far off of, but staying away from the Nuggets as well. They got smoked in that second half versus the Blazers, Sharks. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets came in this game pissed off. They're obviously the much better offensively team. Neither team playing defense, man, so stay off for me, man. You know what? I'd rather talk about some shirts in this game, my guys. Let's talk about some shirts here. $10 off any shirt. Use promo code WIN10 over there at the website, jmoneyismoney.com. You can get the Jay and Shark shirts for $15, my guys. What are we doing here? It's cheaper than a Nike shirt, Jordan shirt, whatever, my guys. Basically, then they're like a dollar store type of shirt. $15. That's beer money, my guys. Support the channel. We're trying to go up, man. We're trying to go to new levels, man. DM myself or Shark, break them off with your official page, my brother.
2 top plays, 9 words of lifestyle. Ride the wave or get out of the water. Buy hat, engaged. Atlanta Hawks, double revenge game, line functionality spot. Detroit in a road home back-to-back tough spot, -7 1 unit. And as just discussed, big game on the West Coast, Pacific Northwest. Portland at home against Miami. We're on the over at 221.5. 219.5 now. Of course, get the better line. Why wouldn't you? And a beautiful opportunity to dominate. A lot going on here. Beautiful Wednesday. Jay Money, hell of a show. 38 minutes in the books. Close them out and let's dominate.
Hell of a show always, guys. 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Saturday, man. If you can, tell your friends about it. Tell your family. That's one thing you could do to repay your debt to us, my guys. Giving out free picks every single day. We're not charging. We do this for the people. Hit the like button, subscribe. We tweet the shows as well, and get a shirt if you can, man. For me, I'm going with the Timmy's first quarter, first half, Smack City, Smoke City, same gym. They equal rest advantage now. Spurs on the last little leg of a 4-game road trip heading to the house. I see a Smack City spot here. These are spots that I'll take most of the time. They're going to hit at 70% clips. Give me the Timberwolves in first quarter, -3/ -3.5. First half as well, -5.5. Let's take these Spurs to Smack City here. And I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets as well. Took them last night +4. I sprinkled on the money line. I'll go official with the Nets +3.5. This is a national TV game. These are the toughest games to cap, but I do think that Kyrie, KD have a lot to prove in this one, going up against the Bucks that have had 3 days off. I don't know about you guys, but the early season, I don't want a mini vacation in the middle of the week, the middle of the schedule. I want to keep playing and catch a win. And I think the Nets here have something to prove, my guys. KD, Kyrie, Simmons, guarding Giannis. Let's cash it, my guys. See the Nets getting an outright win. Let's go, man. Honorable mentions. Knicks first quarter and first half, man. The first quarter is sitting at -2.5. First half is sitting at -4. I'm probably going to add those on the card, my guys. I like those spots. It's hopping with the Knicks, third straight road games, shooting on the same gyms, getting hot, and it's fading the Hornets as well, coming off an underdog win of 10 or more points, my guys. We always love to do it for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we out. Back tomorrow. Let's get this cash. It's Us Against The Bookies.